Alright, so in today's video we're going to go over the flaws, and basically we're going to do a 3-year review of this 4-stroke 1.5 horsepower Chinese outboard. These are basically the cheapest outboards you can buy, period, at just over $350. There really isn't anything that comes close to this. I would say the next cheapest outboard's probably in the $600 to $700 range, and you know, we're going to basically go over if it's a good deal or not. The short version of all this is, yes, it works, it does what it needs to do, but there's a reason why it's $350, and I will show you that throughout this video. The engine is basically a Chinese carbon copy of a Honda GV35 or GX30, I'm pretty sure it's GV35. Something else I'm going to show you is what I consider the main flaw in this engine, and that is the clutch assembly inside of here. So I'm going to take that off so you can see. And that's some extremely tight bolts. So, alright, so I've gone ahead and removed and loosened all these bolts. These were unbelievably tight, as you saw from that last clip. Ironically though, this bolt down here was super loose, so not quite sure what was going on there, but basically if I just wiggle this out, this is what clutch looks like. So this is a centrifugal clutch. We have a large spring that holds back 2 weighted pieces of steel. When this turns at a high rate of speed, they expand outward and they go inside of this shell. And then when this turns, the propeller will turn. Now the problem with this is, if this is overloaded, the speed that it's trying to drive this propeller is too fast. I see these same lower units on the 4 horsepower outboards, and this is only 1.5 horses, so it just doesn't have the power to do that. And this clutch basically will slip. So as it's driving at full speed, this is spinning inside of here, and of course that generates tremendous heat. So the outside of this casting here will get easily 150, 200 degrees. This will simply turn into a giant heater, and that's exactly what it does. I'll show you. I'm going to actually take some temperature readings once we get this out on the water, and I would consider this the main flaw in the outboard. So today we're out. It's a beautiful day on river. It's fairly calm. We have the 4-stroke outboard here. You can see there's the propeller down there, the lower unit, and the power head. It uses a very cheap bicycle shifter style of tiller control. Starting's relatively easy. It does run just like a Honda. It basically will start on the first or second pull every time. It is very noisy though because it's air cooled. And I always forget which way to turn it. Alright, so we got the outboard motor out here on the water, and I have my meter here. We're going to track the temperature of the centrifugal clutch, which is right behind this aluminum housing, as we run the motor. And I'm going to be able to graph it. I'm going to show you just how hot this thing can get during the operation of the motor. So we'll get started here. So this is a Fluke 289 multimeter, and we'll be able to graph the temperature as it rises here. You can see it's pretty hot today, so it's already about 90 degrees on the side of this casting. So we're going to start the engine, and then we're going to observe how that increases over time. Adjust it here. We're going to run it at full power for a few minutes. definitely starting to get kind of toasty. I guess we're at 105 right now. So I've only run it about 2.5 minutes and it's already at 130 degrees, and that's the outside of this casing. So if this outside of the casing is at 130 degrees, there's an air gap in there where the clutch is. That clutch is much hotter, probably 4 or 5, maybe even 600 degrees. So we're going to take a look at the temperature here, and actually we can, let's see here if I can zoom this in a little bit. Yeah. So hopefully you can see this. So as you can see, there's a pretty unsustainable curve in terms of how hot this thing gets. And basically what this means is that this engine is not powerful enough for the propeller. The propeller is too large, and that centrifugal clutch is slipping inside of there even when we have it at full power, which is obviously not good because it means that this propeller is not paired correctly with this engine. That kind of makes sense because I've seen larger motors that are 2.5, this is 1.5 horsepower. I've seen 2.5 and 3s using this same lower unit. So if it was one of those engines, it might not be a problem. But for the 4-stroke, 1.5 horsepower engine, this is completely unsustainable. That clutch would, if I let it continue, even for 10 minutes, there's no way it could do that for any length of time. Certainly not multiple cycles, as you would have with many outboards. So realistically, the only thing this is good for is just moving the boat around the dock a little bit in short bursts while these housings have just a chance to get that heat ripped away from them.